Hi friends, my name is Megan and welcome to episode 58 of A Naughty Mess Knitting Podcast. I'm excited to be here. I'm going to share some personal news first because I have forgot the last two times to talk about it. Okay, it's early here on Thursday, September 12th. Okay, I will talk about our regular podcast things. So, for anyone who's new here, this is a crafting podcast. I mostly knit, but I also spin yarn and sometimes crochet. And I talk about all the things I am making and future plans and things I'd like to buy and other news in the community. So, on a personal note, though, if you are new here, my name is Megan. I live in the Pacific Northwest, just north of Seattle with my husband, our daughter, and my mom, Cindy, plus our dog, Winter. And exciting news is I have talked about this before, but our daughter, Theo, is adopted, and she's almost 2, and we are ready to look for number 2. So we're doing a private adoption again. That's the plan this time around. So I will link below our adoption website if you'd like to go check it out or share it. There's a couple resources on there. So if you have a community board in your town where you live or a church or somewhere where you could share the information, we would be forever grateful. A private adoption like this is really just word of mouth. We're hoping to hear from somebody's, cousin's granddaughter, whatever. And that if they would like to give their baby up for adoption, that we are a safe, kind, loving, and nurturing home. And we have an attorney who, can help us through the process. That's what's going on. We're not going through an agency. We did not last time. And we'd like to keep it domestic. There are lots of kids in the United States who need to be adopted, and we'd like to keep them out of the system if a parent is not able to provide that care. So that's where we are. Just so you know, that's my personal news. We're really excited. So the information is below. If you have questions or anything else, DMs on Instagram are the easiest place to reach me. So, okay, let's talk about things knitting related now. That was really exciting for me. I just want to share it here. I mean, this is word of mouth for us, so it's most important that I share with as much of my community as I can. And I feel lucky enough to have you guys this time around. No pressure. If you don't want to share, obviously you don't have to, but it's there for you if you hear of anything. So let's go through what I'm wearing, which today is my moonset tee. I'm going to put a picture up here just of me wearing this right now, but I'll also stand up. So this is the moonset tee by Haley Smedley, who is Ozetta. This is the second time I've made this pattern. The first time was for a sample for Yarnaceous, and gauge wise and stuff, I was more accurate this time around. And I don't know, like, I think I had to go up a needle size last time. So maybe I was like stress knitting, who knows? But like this time I stayed with the regular, like I think 3.25 millimeter needles is what was recommended. This is a size 2X, which is 50.5 inches. Recommended ease is 4 inches. So for me, that's 3.5. This is Earthy Sock, Explore Knits and Fibers Earthy Sock in Sangria, which is from their Spain collection from last year. It's 100% non-superwash merino. It's 436 yards for 100 grams. I do have, okay, I'll put up here. This one is slightly more color accurate. It's still really hard to get on camera, but you can see like the pinky tones in here and it looks a little bit different. So it looks just a little bit more, I mean, like you can see that there's color variation, but I think on camera, it just really picks up that like slightly different shades of red and then like maybe that some of the yellow tone, but it doesn't pick up as much of that like really soft, like pinky purple tone. So let me stand. We can discuss. Okay, here I am. It's so cute. I love it so much. Okay, so this, so I don't think I laid this out for measurements yet. Let me check. Yeah, so I didn't lay this out for measurements yet, but I'll do that after the episode and get them up. But when I blocked this, I got just around 50 inches. So this is pretty true to size. I've already worn it like 4 times though, so maybe it's got a little bit more ease now. Honestly, I think this is more ease than I would need in this. Like, I would probably make one size smaller next time. I thought when I first tried it on to put sleeves on that it would look really strange on because of where the sleeves are sitting, but I actually kind of love it. It's super comfy. It's really cozy. I do want to grab it all the time. I do think like I would be happy with one size smaller, but like I'm not upset that this is the size that it is. To conserve yarn though, I would potentially go one size smaller next time if I do make it again, because I was into the very last strings available to me of this yarn from the ties of the yarn. Like this was, we were in desperate situation here. I could have probably done a little bit less in the sleeve. I did just knit to pattern the sleeve exactly, but like it's got a lot of room. I wouldn't change the pickup rate because I think that it sits really nicely on here, but I could just have done a little bit less, you know, like this much less would have been fine. The length is really good. I mean, if I had done one less row, I also would have been fine. You guys, like it was really me. I didn't measure. I didn't do any of that stuff. You see, you still can, when it gets the light on it, like maybe a little bit of this pinky purple, but it still washes it out a little. Okay, so I love it. I'm very glad I made this for myself. Making the sample felt like a slog. This is a bit of a slog, but honestly, it didn't take me that long. And I really, really love the outcome. Like it's just the perfect, like easy to throw on t-shirt. Okay, I'm gonna sit down. I don't know what you think. Like, I think it's mega cute. I'm super into it. I really would, like, that sounds so dumb, but like I would like 12 of these. Like this is the perfect t-shirt. I really like a v-neck, and I like that it's like a closed v-neck, right? There's no immodesty in this, right? Like I don't care about being modest, but like if I'm working, some of the other v-necks I have are pretty steep, or just feels like I have a lot of chest open. And it feels like a lot. This, I have no, like, I don't feel that way. I also, yeah, it's just super easy and comfy to put on. Okay, so that's all about that. I will be putting measurements in Ravelry, but I didn't have any modifications for this. I don't think I made any at all to the whole pattern. So that's pretty good. Yeah, it was nice. I don't know. The drop on a t-shirt is weird sometimes because you get these itty bitty sleeves, but also like it's not got like the weight of a sweater that sometimes I feel like pulls so that it doesn't look strange. But I actually don't think this one, like even though there's obviously extra fabric in my armpit, like I don't think it's that strange. You know, and one thing I could do next time too is just not even decrease, but like cast off some stitches when you get to the underarm so that it would actually like make the body a little bit smaller but keep the drop. I'd probably just experiment with one size smaller first. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm going to make this very soon, but I would. So that's okay. So if we go through a couple of standard things, this is my first time knitting an earthy sock. So my thoughts on it are, it was very nice to knit with. It's super soft. Like she doesn't give a micron count, but it's really soft. I do think, I'll get some felting and a little bit of pilling with this, but I think it's going to hold up pretty well. I love the color of this also. I really like this pattern. It's pretty simple to do. The gauge is a little challenging and is very much makes this like, yes, it's just a stockinette project, but there's like something about it that once you connect, it feels like 1,000 years until you get to the bottom. And it's not even like it's normal. It's a very normal sized everything. The sleeves are rather wide though, so that does also feel like quite a lot of knitting once you get there, even though you're like, oh yes, these are so itty bitty. They're a lot of stitches. But like I still feel like maybe it's not the most enjoyable knit. It is the most wearable, and it's super easy to understand. It's not like there's nothing wrong with the pattern. It just is a lot of stockinette. But if stockinette's your game and you haven't made one of these, totally do it, because I think this piece of it is really simple. It's done. You don't have to go back and do anything. The way that you connect is easy to understand. So all things point to this moonset tee has hundreds of projects for a reason. Okay, that's all for that. Let's go through what I finished this week. Okay. I'm going to go through the finished object first, and then we're going to talk about spinning. So I finished the Daydreamer, and I did this because I just had to. I had to get it off my needles. I would like to give this to my sister-in-law this weekend. Her birthday is coming up, and therefore, yes, I want to give it to her. So here it is. This is the Daydreamer by Andrea Mowry, who is Drea Renee Knits. It's so cute. The color is so cute. I can't try it on because it's not my size, but it's very adorable. I tried it on with partial sleeves on Ariel, who's about Lauren's size, and it looks great on her. Lauren is probably going to intend to wear this way, so this being the front. And I tried really hard to line this up in the middle so that it wouldn't be like too obvious. I think it'll be fine when she wears it. I don't think it's going to bug her that much. And yeah, so this is all over, you know, honeycomb, cable stitch, and baubles. The size is size 1, which is 40 inches. Recommended ease is 6 to 12 inches. I use 3.25 millimeter needles for the ribbing at the bottom and the cuffs. Everything else is 3.5. The recommended body needle, though, is 3.75. And I had the correct growth. I have the perfect dimensions. Like, I measured and everything, and this is exactly dead on. I didn't weigh the yarn yet, but I have a lot of yarn left over, which makes me think that this was just a really large, like, overestimation for yardage. It's fine. This is on Knit Picks palette, so I've got enough to make, like, a hat. I don't know. I'll make some sort of fuzzy hat with it. Probably. Maybe I could even probably get away with, like, a little scarf. But yes, it's very cute. Okay. I do really love this color. This is Knit Picks palette and a loft in the color Penny Royal. It is, the Aloft is 72% mohair, 28% silk, 260 yards for 25 grams. And the palette is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. It's 231 yards for 50 grams. So this is very adorable. I'm glad it's done. This was a slog with my other cable projects. I was just like, I have to get one of these off the needle. Okay, so construction-wise, this is bottom up. So it is supposed to be a split hem, which I did do, and it is supposed to be high-low. And I did not do that because it would be the opposite high-low. I was like, okay, it does fine. We don't care about what the high-low piece. I think also, so Lauren has really the versatility of front back. If she wants to, I just made them the same length. I did make it slightly longer than the high of, like, the shorter of the two hems. It's not as long as the longer of the two hems, but it's in the middle. And then, yeah, so you do the body, and then you split, you do the fronts, you do the back, and then you do the sleeves. That's one reason I don't love bottom up construction is I don't like doing sleeves last. It makes me bummed out. So I get why people get stuck on Sleeve Island just for that fact. I normally don't subject myself to that. This is actually not as obvious, not on camera, but I still have these traveled sleeves, or these like laddered stitches. After washing, I did like pull them a little bit, and I did wet block this. So I know some people don't wet block mohair knits, and I think that you lose none of the fuzz and you get all the benefits of, like, you know, releasing your tension, evening out your gauge, you know, especially with cables like this. I wanted to make sure these, like, opened a little bit, and they did. Honeycomb, not so much, just because of the nature of every 2 rows you're weaving those stitches. They're just not going to open as much. But it evened out, like, my bottom row that was a little bit wide. Yeah. But I yanked on these a little bit, and they really didn't go away. I started trying to, like, schmooze them around a little bit, but you know what? She's not a knitter. I don't think she's going to care very much. And I just kind of can't be bothered to do that, because it's not going to be an easy thing to fix. I think going forward, I would maybe even just, like, knit these inside out, and I wouldn't have that issue, even doing magic loop. I don't normally do sleeves magic loop, but when you do them inside out like this, I find I have a really hard time pulling, even, like, this 2 stitches before is what you're supposed to do for, like, to prevent ladders, before the last stitch or whatever, or the 2 stitches after. And it doesn't matter. Like, when I'm purled like this, like, I can't pull them tight enough, even doing a Portuguese purl, which is what I did for this whole thing. So it is what it is. I mean, if it bugs her, I'll ask her. If it bugs her, then I can like try to doctor it a little bit, but I don't really want to. And I don't think she's gonna care. When it's actually on her arm and stretched out a little bit, like it's not gonna be as obvious. Like you can't, you know, like you can't see the two distinct things. A note about the baubles. These are all crochet baubles. They are like a half double crochet, which you do just like a normal bauble. You just like the way you end it over the knit stitch is a little bit unique, and it's really great and pulls them pretty tight, and they all sit high without needing a lot of manipulation, which I really love. So that's it. Gift for my sister-in-laws done for the year. And I've got a new gift now on my needles, so we are progressing right along. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that's done. Okay, let's look at something else that's a little bit in those cool tones. I did something this week that was crazy. You're right. Last week I had a couple of singles done, and I am done my sweater spin. I'm fully done. I'm fully washed. Do you like them? Aren't they beautiful? Okay, like let me hold them this way. These are outrageous. Oh my gosh. I love them so much. I'm just like, do you love this color next to me or what? It's gonna be so amazing. Wow, it's like the first time I get to see them with like all this like front light on them. I am in love. Okay, let's talk about it. I really got closer to a DK weight. I'm somewhere between like, I'm a light DK. I'm like somewhere between a sport and a DK, depending on the skein. Like you can even tell here, I'll hold two of these up. These two skeins, you can see the difference. Not hugely different, but you'll see like some of these plies here are definitely thicker than the plies on the bottom skein. Like that's going to happen, right? It's not going to be 100% perfect. I love it so much. As a reminder, this is my A Naughty Mess colorway from Yarn Jam. I can't believe like getting this like spun up is so incredible. You can see all the cyan throughout, but all the purple too. The black is like got this really interesting, like it's a charcoal, and it's definitely not as dominant as I thought it might be. And I'm interested to see how it knits up with like, it just gives it this slightly like moodier, darker vibe. Like it's not a lot of black or something, like it's predominantly a blue color. I love it. It's so squishy. It's so nice. Like it's really soft. Okay, so sorry, this is my Yarn Jam color. Let me talk about it. This is my Yarn Jam color. It's called A Naughty Mess, still available. She did update that she is only going to keep the pre-order open through the month of September. You can still use the coupon code if you have not through the month of September. For me, it's A Naughty Mess, all caps, all one word. And you get 15% off of your order, and you can only use it one time. And I'm really excited. Okay, this is like so crazy. I love this so much. This is a Shanico. This is the like just the regular natural Shanico base, not the Tweedy one. There is a Tweedy one available for everyone's colors. And this one is, so Shanico is a sheep that is a cross between merino and Rambouillet, and has all the best properties. It's super springy. It's super like, it's bouncy and soft and like really lofty. Like when you are spinning it, like it's just very airy. And it's really easy. Like I did not pre-draft any of this. So let's talk about how I spun this. I spun this short forward, no pre-drafting. What I did was I did half of my skeins. I had 6 total. I did half of my skeins, what I designated from A to B, and then half of them from B to A. The A to B skeins were split into 8 just lengthwise. I just did 8 splits. They were not all exactly the same, so that would give it a little bit of variety. And I mean, they were like, I tried to do it kind of evenly. And then I did from B to A were split 12 times, same thing, just vertically, trying to make them like even-ish per ball. But like inevitably some of my balls were kind of thin and some of them were a little bit thicker, which would just, I was hoping to make this less like even, so I don't get like exactly the same kind of like striping action, and that it's just more kind colorful. I am going to plan whatever I make to do to do some helical knitting that will give me extra evenness between the skeins, because like these are not exactly the same. And also, sorry, like let's not let this I didn't also like twist them all exactly the same. Like these two look closer twisted, but you can still see like there's just a little variety between them. I ended up plying them in a not crazy way, but I plied them half of 1A with half of a B, you know, I tried to do them like staggered, more like beginning ones with end ones, or beginning with middle. And, you know, an end with beginning, same thing. And I did like, say this was my first A bobbin, and my last B bobbin. Okay. Cause I did from A to B and from B to A, right? So that, and I did one skein, but that's only half of each of those spins, because I did all 4 ounces on a bobbin. And so then you know, I would do some others, and then maybe the second half of that first A bobbin is with the first of the B bobbins. Like it was just mix it up. So every skein is a different composition. There are no like A1 and B3 are not 2 full skeins, if that makes any sense to you. It doesn't really matter. All I'm saying is I did a mix up when I did the plying. I did rewind all bobbins and then plied, so they're all spun in one single direction, which helps with smoothness a little bit. Not really necessary with this, because I mean, maybe it just keeps it a little less fluffy, because it's already got the tendency to have a little more air and fluffiness. I am going to actually skein these up. I don't have a yardage counter. I'm going to get one, but I don't have one right now. So I'm going to skein these up at Ariel's house so I can get a good, like an actual count now that these are washed and everything. I'm going to wind them into cakes and do that at Ariel's house. That'll give me a pretty accurate yardage. That will help. I will do a gauge swatch after I do that, so I can kind of estimate. So the first plan for me was a DRK every day. I'm gonna be definitely larger gauge, because that's a real sport weight. And this is definitely more of a light DK. I might just pivot plans and find another light DK knit instead. I think I want to do all one color, as long as the yardage is good. If I have about 300 yards per skein, which I could have less, I totally could have more like 275, I still can get a full sweater. So I just might have to pivot on what I pick. I love the DRK every day, but that just may not be in the cards. And I could also do some gauge math and instead, you know, do a smaller size with a larger gauge. It sort of depends. I'm going to see how the fabric feels at a couple of different needle sizes, and then I'll make a determination. But I need the yardage first. Yardage, swatch, then I'll make sure I have the pattern that I really want. I'm probably not going to start for a couple of weeks anyway, so I'll skein this up when it makes sense for me. But it's done. I wanted you to see it. I love it so much. I'm going to attempt to do the skeining up if it works for Ariel's schedule this weekend. If at the latest, like next week sometime maybe, just so I can also swatch, just so I have a plan and so you guys can see the swatch, because it's different swatched than in a skein too, right? Different plied, different as a braid. All of these steps make your yarn look and, you know, feel different in your brain. I've not taken pictures of it skeined up though yet. So I'm going to do a little photo shoot of these, and then I'll do the caking, and then I'll probably do a photo shoot with the swatch. I'm gonna try to photo the whole process, because this is so exciting. My first sweater spin. I love it so much. I'm so excited. And there we are. That's what you have to know about finished things for me this week. And yes, that was a very fast sweater spin, and no, I will not be doing that again. I wanted to do it so I could show you guys, because the sale's only open for so long, and also because I'm excited. I will be excited about other sweater spins, but I think I'll be okay taking it a little bit longer. I just like sat and spun for most of my nights over the last week, and we actually got together for knit night this week. Instead of knitting, we actually were all spinning. I think there were like Ariel was knitting a little bit at the end because she finished something, but it was a fleet of ladybugs. It was the cutest. So Maya, Emily, Ariel, and I all are the only ones in our knitting group that have wheels, like physical, you know, foot wheels. And we all have ladybugs. So I'm not going to put the picture up, but we took a picture of like all of our cute little fleet of ladybugs, which is really fun. And then we had 2 people spinning, e-spinning. And yeah, it was just really fun and it was so nice. But we went down to Maya's house and we spun on her porch, and that was really exciting. And it was so lovely. It was a perfect weather to do it. And yeah, like I got a lot plied. I needed an extra bobbin, so I got a lot plied. And I think if I do another sweater spin, I will either get something else to hold some of the yarn, or I'll just get another bobbin or 2, because I need like 8 to be more efficient. That would be nice. 7 or 8. I have 6 now, so you know, that's not many more to add. Okay, so that was a lot of information, but let's move on to project things. And I'm gonna start with, again, our first cast on, which I've got to say, now that the Daydreamer is out of here, that was like definitely my oldest whip, which I started in June. Everything else is an August or September start. So this is all kind of newish projects. One we had talked about lots and lots before, and I did a, you know, the swatch and then I stopped, is the Heirloom Quilt Cardigan. Here we are. This is square number 5. This is 5. And this is 6. And I have one more to get all of the both. Then I will have all to have 7 that have 7 different star colors and 7 different background colors. And then I'll just at least be able to see all of the colors in each of the formations, even though obviously like not all of them made. I am all set to make more. My goal still just is 2 per week. If I make more, great. If I don't, fine also, but no less than, so I can just keep on track. So we're getting there. We have 6. Again, this is a pattern that came out last fall by Katrin Seeberger, who is Katrin Seeberger on Instagram. Okay, so I didn't really give any information before. I'm gonna do it this time. I will probably just like not do it every time because it doesn't matter while we're just making the squares. Although I will tell you, I'll try to remember most of the time, this is square size 2. Just if anybody is ever following along. But I'm going to go through right now just like what the intended dimensions are of the finished project. It's so far in the future that I just don't want to do it every time. So this is size 2, which means I'm using the size 2 square size, which has more stitches across than the size 1, and maybe less than the size 3, but there's less of a difference between size 2 and 3. This is intended to be a 70-inch across or like in circumference. There's no button band, just like folded flat cardigan. It's supposed to have 15 to 30 inches. That's, you know, 23 on me. Like it's a lot of inches. But the other one was like 50. So that's only 3 inches, which is not as much ease as I would want for this. I definitely didn't want it to be super close fitting. I am making, using 4.5mm needles, which I think is a recommended size. I'm pretty on for gauge, which also there's some leniency here, right? Like if I'm going to, maybe I will likely, because I don't want to do them all at once, I will likely block these in groups of maybe 10 or so, weave in ends, block them. That'll be one of the chores for, you know, any given week. This is all in ZZ Textiles from the Colors collection in her DK Tweed, which is 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal nip, 231 yards for 100 grams. I can't remember all of the colors. This is called like soft rose or old rose. This one's called tiger lily. I don't remember what this papery, like, you know, this background color is called. This black is seal. The blue is blue luster. The green is palmetto. The gold is like dark gold, maybe is what it's called. I think those are the only other 3 colors, right? So I know most of them. That's pretty good. I cannot remember for the life of me this color, but I'll get them all. Like when I start putting it together and we actually see them, I'll remind you of what all the colors are. But yeah, so I'm excited to get this going and keep it going. I probably won't sew anything down until I'm like fully at the end, because I'm going to want to play with placement of colors. But the blocking will help, because then I'll know how close I am on gauge, just if I have to make any adjustments on size of anything. So, and my intention though, also so you know, is that though this is a larger square size, I'm going to add one extra row of squares along the bottom. So just, it's like 7 more squares, because I think it's 7 squares around for like all the sizes. So that I can have a like less cropped length. You know, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to make this like a kind of big cozy jacket type situation. So let's go to the Belmullet Pullover. This is a test knit for Andrea Gaughan. I am paused on this because I actually think I'm going to rip back what I did yesterday, but I'll show you it. Yeah, I do think I'm going to rip it back. I think I'm going to take this into natural light and make some decisions on the skeins I have. So I have all these caked skeins. These were part of a D-Stash acquisition many years ago, but I'm going to take these skeins out into more natural light, and I just think there's enough of a color difference between where I picked up and the back shoulder, and because it sits on the back shoulder, you're gonna see the 2 colors next to each other pretty closely. So I think I want to make that change just to find my lightest skein, even if I end up alternating it so I can use it on both sides. I do think I need to do that so that it's not so obvious. I mean, obviously it's like a shoulder, it's fine, but I just want the colors to look more close to each other. Anyway, the Malabrigo consistency is like pretty good usually, but I like, they look very close next to each other like this, but they're just enough different between what's in the back and what's on that shoulder that it's bugging me. So I started it last night, the pickup. I'm just going to redo it. It's fine. It did not take, like, this probably only took me like 15 minutes to get done. Like, it was very quick. That's a fun thing I'm going to do this week. Oh, but you can see, so last week I was in the middle of the back, and so I finished all of the rest of the back pattern. Also, did you guys notice that I am using my little coffee stitch marker from Hello Lavender, and that this is like the exact color of this knit, my little latte cup? How could I not use it? So yeah, so I'll go back to shoulder pickups. I'm not in a rush on this. I just kind of want to get like little chunks done every week. I would love to be joined for the body in the next couple of weeks, just so I can get that done. I don't want to let it linger, even though it has a long deadline too. You know me. I want to get it done. Okay, let's talk about the next thing. This is a tighter timeline for sure. This is a test knit for Wool and Pine Designs called the 3 Seasons Pullover. It is very similar to the 3 Seasons cardigan, but it's a pullover. It's a top down, though not joined in the round, knit. I don't know if I've talked about that before. And it's all over texture, cable, lace, and just like other fun textures. I'm making the size. Oh, I didn't give you the details for the Belmullet. Let's do that next week. It's not going anywhere. This is a size 5. It's supposed to be 50 inches. Recommended ease is 4 to 8 inches positive. It's a 5mm needles, which I think is what's recommended. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's recommended. And this is Cascade Yarns Cantata in the colorway 21, which is called Plum. And it's 70% cotton, 30% superwash merino, 218 yards for 100 grams. It's soft, but still like has that little bit of cottony feel, like that. It's like a matte feeling, like dullness. I guess like that's like, it's not like it's not like mercerized cotton, right? Like it's not shiny. It's just like a cotton tube. It's a blown cotton tube. And yeah, so here's where I was last week. I have my little sheep from Denim and Rain. And it's so cute. Okay, so I got to, just before the arm side, additional stitches, which you can see here. If I hold up, because it's really this way. I was like, what's happening? So here's where I was. This is the shoulder. This is on the shoulder up here. And then, you do a couple of like additional rows to give you this. So essentially because you're not joining in the round, you can't add on stitches to to knit down. I'm not sure why they don't join in the round. It would be totally possible to do, but I think part of it is like structure maybe. You know, seaming does give structure. Yes, it's annoying, but the way that this is going to be constructed is I will seamlessly pick up the shoulder, but then I will seam down the side before picking up the sleeve stitches and then knitting those in the round. That doesn't bother me. That's not a lot of seaming. And also, the way the selvage stitches they have on here will make it really, really easy to pick up. And so I think I'm going to be like, I'll be happily content with that. That's fine. On the back, we have really nice lace. You can see it more now. Like, oh, it's so pretty. And then there's this fun, they call them pearl twist. Sorry, my yarn is back here. This pearl twist section gives sort of like a dense, it almost like gives it like a moss stitchy appearance, but it's really like, these are, kind of like pearl two togethers that are done in a special way. It's like a little flower. They're cute. Anyway, then you got this fishtaily cable situation happening here, which I really love. And then we've got the big cable pattern here. And then the same thing on the other side. I really love this lace section. It's super pretty. It's like a very normal, you know, sort of like diamondy shape inside of a lace. So yeah, so I have about 10 inches from the arm side. No, what did I measure last night? 7.5 inches or so from the arm side, and I need 13 inches to be done the body. So I've got a ways to go, but I did join my second ball of yarn. I don't know, maybe you can a little bit see the line of that. Like, it does look like this is a little bit darker, but like, it's not enough that I would ever care about that. In person, it's really hard to tell. On camera, you can always see some of those differences more. I care about more in person because I'm the one wearing it, like in live times. It's more like the density of the fluff is a little bit different in some of the skeins, but I'm not worried about it. I think overall, it's like, looks like the same color. Can you tell a difference? I guess you can tell a difference. Nothing for me to be worried about. And it's not going to be the same front to back either, because I'm going to just be using, you know, like you're not ever knitting in the round. And I definitely would not, you don't even helical knit, you would just switch at the sides to do this. And like, that's just way too much bother and makes it harder to seam when you have those twists. So I wouldn't do it. It's not worth it to me. It's fine. Okay. So my goal for next week is definitely to finish this back panel. That's a huge piece to be done with. I have until like August. I have until like October 11th to finish this. So I've got time, but I need to continue progressing sort of larger milestones each week. Okay, let's go through my next knit, which is the Lauder Vest. Okay, so my next knit is a friend knit. I am knitting this with Elle. We cast on last week, the Monday before last, together. So it was just the beginning of the month, together, and it's so cute. It looks so itty bitty. I'm not super worried about it. I did just do the armhole increases. You do add some here. It is going to, I'm going to have to like block it out a little bit. An interesting thing happens with this. Okay, so this is the Abbye. I'm just going to trust the pattern. It's a little bit odd though. The Lauder pattern, it's just Lauder, I think, called, because it's got a vest, a pullover, and a cardigan, and all v-neck round neck options. Elle and I are both doing the v-neck vest. The interesting thing here is that you're doing a lot of things. It's like split in size 1 and 2, size 3 and 4, size 5 and 6, and sometimes 1 through 6. I mean, plus it goes on to like size 9 or 10, plus like 1 to 6 are actually just the same cast on all the way through the original increases. And then the differences by size, like it just, I'm a little worried that like this back panel is just not going to be big enough, but also like it's how the pattern is written. I'm doing it for the right size. My gauge is enough on. But it is a vest. It's not an oversized vest. I picked the size 47 1/4 inches, which is size 4. The recommended ease is 3/4 of an inch to 6 inches positive. That's a big range. I definitely know I don't want this to be 6 inches positive. The size that's up is like 3 inches larger. And this is like 1/4 inch over my bust, but I just feel like the way I want to wear this, I don't want 3 whole inches of ease. Like that's too much. So this is what I picked. I did go up a needle size. I am using 4mm needles, and I think the recommended size is 3.5. This is Skeins Incognito, which is 100% wool. I think it's 220 meters. It's like 246 or something yards for 100 grams. It is Brittany. And this is a line of yarn from New Zealand that I got from Bex when we did a yarn swap, international yarn swap. And this is like made by Skeins, but milled for someone else, but then for whatever reason they're selling it in their store. So anyway, it's a really, really beautiful gray. Now that you can see more of the pattern, it's really like, it's going to be so perfect for this. Like I'm so excited to have this. Anyway, we'll see how this works up and what I feel about it after we get a little bit bigger. I feel like I need to join in the round and like see where it sits. You do like a pick up and ribbed armhole. So I think that will like be good. And if I'm feeling like it's a little bit small, then I might just do slightly deeper, like slightly more rows of that armhole. I mean, we'll see. I will say Rebecca put in the pattern that this is a DK pattern, and so I kind of got my heart set on this yarn, and it's really a worsted weight pattern. It would do better. The cables would probably pop a little bit more in worsted weight, which is what Ariel's using, and hers is, she's using a Shanico that she got from Flock. From So Happy Jane, I think is who it was from. It was so lovely to touch, and it's a really pretty cream. And honestly, I would have gotten the same yarn to match her, but that cream is like much too yellow for me to wear, so I would never wear it. If they had a different color, maybe I would. But anyway, this is what we have. I'm excited to use this yarn. I'm excited to get it going. So this is the back panel done. I cut off yarn. I'm not connected to anything, so I'll pick up and start the front this coming week. Okay, so moving along. And that one doesn't have a deadline. That one's just like for fun. But the next thing I'm going to show you, I can really not show you much, but I'm going to show you a little bit of how this color is knitting up and talk about the yarn and stuff. But this is the Aurora Camisole by Sari Nordlund. It's a top-down camisole. It's going to be in her new book that comes out in spring of 2025. I'm making a size 6, which is 47 1/4 inches. Recommended ease is 0 to -2 inches. So I went down a needle size because I've decided to use a fingering weight yarn held double, which is not quite as it's just a little thicker than the DK weight that she used for like her sample, which is what she, not recommended for us to use, but just gave as an example. And this is in Illimani Sabri in the color Acadia, which is number 36. It's this gorgeous tealy color. It's 85% cotton, 15% alpaca, 437 yards for 100 grams. Again, I'm holding that double, so it's like 220-ish. So it's a little more worsted weight-ish. But it feels like it's pretty thin. Going down the needle size is just like the stitches look fine. Like they don't look too small or whatever. I mean, and cotton's a little deceptive too because it's just heavier. So like it's working up fine. That little bit of alpaca is giving it like a tiny bit of a halo. It's really nice. The color is gorgeous. Like it looks a little bit greener than it's picking up on screen right now, but it's so pretty. So you can see a little bit of that lace pattern here. Again, because this is for her book, I'm really not supposed to be showing much of it, and I can't show the finished object, so I'm not going to show more than here's where I am after connecting for body. But I did connect for body. I did not do my, you don't have to do it in order really, but I didn't do my straps yet. I'm going to do those after I have maybe a couple more inches of body, so I can, she recommends you sort of, like what I'll do, because you make 4 separate front and back pieces, and you just connect them with an I-cord. It is a 4-stitch I-cord, so I can't use the cordsmith for it. That's okay for this too. With the 2 strands, I think it would be like a little bit chaotic. So what I'm planning to do is get an even smaller needle, like maybe a 2.5 millimeter needle if I can, or 275. It sort of depends. But do start my I-cord and then just like go to about recommended, and then I want to put it on, right, to really see like does it sit where I want it to be? Does the armhole sit where I want it to be? That's probably the most important part. Yeah. So overall, I'm excited for this. This one is due like in a couple of weeks. It was a really short turnaround, but I want it to be in the book. Normally I would not say yes to that, but I am going to finish this probably this week, just because it's like, I don't know, maybe not, because it's kind of a lot of body left. I probably have 3.5 inches done of body, almost 4. And I have to do 10 to 11 inches or something like that. It's a folded hem, so that's a little extra. So like I'll probably be pretty close to being done by next week, if not done. It's the only stockinette project I have right now, so it's like, well, it's the only one that I have at my desk. I do have another one, but I'm not quite into the stockinette piece yet, and I'll tell you about that in a second. Okay. So there's that for that. Sorry, that's like a weird teaser, but I can at least show you parts of it now. I am filming, I was gonna maybe film like, here's my whole make of it, but honestly, this isn't gonna take me that long to make, and I don't really feel like it's worth it for that. So instead, next year when the book comes out, because I really won't even be able to show this in my wrap up for the year, I'll be able to show like a small picture. I won't be able to try it on for you. I am going to like keep that in my mind. I can't even put full pictures on Ravelry. It's a secret. So I am going to instead not film, because again, it's only gonna be a couple of weeks of filming anyway, and like to put out a segment. But when the book comes out, I'm gonna put a note to myself to resolve this for all of us. And I'll go back through sort of construction, how I felt about it, how I felt about the make. So I'll make sure I take some extra like good private notes in Ravelry. So I have 2 new cast-ons. Yes, this brings my project count up to, okay, it brings my project count up to 7, but I imagine I'm going to be done the Aurora Camisole pretty quickly. And then the Heirloom cardigan, I'm not counting really as like, it's just a little something I have to do every week. So I really have 5 active projects now, and that's okay with me. That's not so many that it's going to make me feel super anxious or anything like that. So I am going to, I just need to continue on with some of this stuff. Okay, so this is another on my Make 12 list. The Lauder is as well. This I'm doing along with Casey from Young Folk Knits is doing a Mosaic Mayhem knit along through the end of the year. So I want to get this done by the end of the year. And this is my Tessellated Vest. It is a different pattern than the pullover. It's not just like no sleeves. It's the construction's a little different. You don't have like the drop piece. The hem is different. The neckline is different. So yes, I did, I have both separate patterns. You do less ribbing too. Also, when I got to, I was like looking at the pictures and I was like, oh, wow, yeah, there is less. So the pullover has 3 inches of bottom rib. This only has 1.5. So we're already way less. You may notice something different. I think I showed you the colors maybe previously that I was going to use for this, and let me get it. So my original plan, this is all yarn from the Favorites collection, or whatever she calls it, from Treehouse Knits. Okay. I got for this last year, the River Anduin, which is the main color and is a color I'm absolutely 100,000% obsessed with. I think this is like one of the greatest colors ever. And then I got this color Abbye, which is from her Cocoa collection. River Anduin is from Lord of the Rings, like Brandy's Lord of the Rings, that she did like a cameo color for or whatever. And then this is Very Beetlejuice. I thought that these were going to work so well together. And I'm going to actually put a picture up here. I did swatch. Well, I did the first round with this and the Very Beetlejuice, like the first repeat of the pattern. And I like stopped. This was the other night. And I was like, I don't think I like this. I love how these tones go together. But this was pulling them together much less than I thought they would. And it has like, from the pictures, it looked like there was more, like even pictures of the swatch. And I think that's really deceptive because when you swatch all of one thing, you probably can see the color a little bit more than it spread out so much between the blues. But this is pulling much more teal, blue, pink, green, like a lighter green bits, then it's pulling any kinds of the yellowy brown that is in here. So I did this swatch on project then of more rows of the brown with the Very Beetlejuice and the River Anduin. And then I pulled out another color. So this is a Goosey Fibers, which I'll show you their label because I actually have the label over here. I got these two from a D-stash. These are both old colors. These are both Harry Potter colors. I think that since Goosey Fibers has renamed their Harry Potter colorways. So, but this was Polyjuice Potion, this one here, but this one's called Astronomy Tower, and it's Goosey Sport, which is 100% Superwash Merino, 328 yards for 100 grams, and it's a very similar composition. Like it's exactly the same as the Sierra Sport from Treehouse. It's also a 3-ply. It's like, it feels similar, it looks similar, it's got the same sort of shine. So I did a swatch with these three together as well. And you can see in this color here, there are those green bits. There's almost like a dark tealy flecks in there. There's really dark purple, and there's some of these light colors. And before I had even skeined it up, I was like, oh, I think I want to switch. I sent a note to my knitting group on our Discord, and they were like, ooh, some of them were like, I like the brown. And I was like, and Maya asked, she was like, do you want to just swatch with it? And I was like, you're right, I should. So I just on project, right? Because I was already connected with all of these yarns. I just, you'll see, you can kind of see the bottom first part that I did. And then I took a picture, like I just did like a few rows back and forth because I didn't need it for measurements or blocking. I just wanted to see colors. And I decided I really very much liked the purple more. So I went back and I ripped out the first rows I did in the Abbye, and instead I am all on, is it picking up the color at all? I'm all on this beautiful Astronomy Tower, Very Beetlejuice, River Anduin, which is fun because these are all like, I mean, if you go right from the movies, these are all fun, like things to watch in the fall: Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Beetlejuice. So why not, right? Yeah, and I didn't need them like they didn't need to all be from Treehouse. It's just that I planned the project when I bought the yarn from her. Not to fear though, because I only have this one other Goosey Fiber Sport. These actually go so well together. You can see these pieces here. I don't know for me or for someone else, I might do a shawl with this. Like this is great sport weight, 2-color sport weight shawl is like 2 full skeins. I could do something really pretty with that. And if I have any left of Astronomy Tower and River Anduin, like I could throw those in as accents. So who knows? I'm not going to do anything right now, but this is caked up now and I will, you know, I'll get to it in the future. So yeah, so here's my fun little colors. I'm really excited. I just wanted to get this week it cast on, the ribbing done, and decided on my colors. And so that's what I have done. Okay, I have one more cast on. I know. But I needed to get the other gift knit just on my needles. And so I did decide to do my mom's first because her birthday is coming up and I would like to get it done before her birthday. This year, this is a Field Day cardigan. I am in the middle of the back short rows. So I'm like very close. I have 4 left or something to be done to just go doing flat, but like I ran out of steam, so that's fine. I am not helically knitting this right now. I might kick myself for that later, but Brandy's colors are pretty consistent. I will say skein over skein, I kicked up 4 to start. I'm going to probably need 6 or 7 skeins for this. I'll go through the size in a second, but I do. Oh, I didn't do the tessellated size. Let's do tessellated size next week. That's fine. I do see a little bit of depth of quality difference between the different skeins, just being that there's like a brown sandy component to this. And some of the skeins, when I cake them up, are reading slightly sandier, and some of them are reading like slightly more of like a like an ecru color as the base. The amount of orange and flecks looks pretty similar across all of them. And I think it's just like how deeply some of them picked up that sand color. Like, and it's not anything that's going to be super noticeable. So what I decided is I'm doing all of the back in this one skein. As soon as I get to knitting flat, I will start helically knitting. I don't think you're going to notice much of a difference. You might notice that this has got a little bit of a different composition just because you're going like a short amount of back and forth than a long amount of back and forth, but the whole thing is not knit in the round. It's all knit back and forth. So I don't know. I think it'll be fine. Doesn't matter because this is what I've decided and this is what I'm doing. And also my mom's not going to care. Yeah. I'm knitting her. So I'm knitting her a size 6. It's 58 inches. The recommended ease for this is 8 inches. My mom's got a bust of around 52 inches. So this is a little less. The next size up would be exactly 8 inches, but we just talked, you know, I did some extra measurements on her again and like decided like with her shape and how like she's not very tall, that she didn't want to be, she like looked at the size also like on her and she was like, I don't need so much, but I don't want the size, one size smaller is 54 inches, which is not enough, right? If it was 2 inches smaller, maybe she would have picked that size. So we went with the middle. So yes, so it'll be a 58 inches. It is whatever you're supposed to use for gauge, which I did not gauge swatch. I'm just going with it. This is 4.5 millimeter needles. I probably should check my gauge, but I think I'm probably pretty close. Gauge is supposed to be 22 by 32. I've got to be pretty close on that. It doesn't feel, it feels like nice and drapey. It doesn't feel like it's going to be too small. Yeah. And so, it's the Field Day cardigan. It's got, oh, this is by Haley Smedley, who's Ozetta. It's got the similar to this. You do the button band actively while you're knitting. So not right now. You finish the short rows. You do a certain amount of ribbing. Then you attach, like I'll use, you know, most of the shoulder side is for pickups, but as soon as you pick up and then you start knitting the front side, I'll start connecting it down and it'll continue down all the way through the body on both sides. You're not like, you connect after you do the front side to do connecting the back to make it flat, right? And so you'll just do the ribbing on both sides as you're going, and then you don't have to go back and do anything. And the part across the back, you just sew down. And so that's wonderful and amazing and the best thing ever. And nobody wants to go back and make a button band, though. Yes, they do look amazing. Like double knit button bands look amazing. So we all also know that. Yeah, and this is one where I will likely do a good chunk of the body and then I'll go and do sleeves, but so that she can try it on. So we can kind of see, like, she might want it to be a little bit longer. That's probably more her style, but sleeves to really be more a fitted length, not too long. But yeah, I'm excited to get this one started. I'm excited to have another stockinette project. As soon as that gets to like joined in the round, I'll be able to also make that a desk knit. So not that I'm going to rush to get there, but with the Aurora Camisole coming off my needle soon, I'm going to need something else at my desk. So yeah, that's where we are. Okay, that's all the projects. That's a lot. I understand that. Okay, let's do some books. So, okay, so first things first is wildly, because I did a lot of time spinning at night over the last week, I finished Knife of Dreams, which I had started last week. And I got a good amount through because I've been listening to while spinning. Last night I finished it though while I was knitting because I had like an hour left of listening and I just wanted to be done. I did not start the next one yet, but this is book 11 of Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. I think starting the next one is when Brandon Sanderson helped to co-write. And I don't know, like, I didn't ever like go and look. I don't know how much of it he wrote versus like just taking ideas from Robert Jordan, or if they co-wrote any of the last like the last three books, I think. So anyway, I'll get into that. So I'll see if like the writing style, how much it changes and how much I notice it. But a lot happens in this one. Some good things, like there's resolution for a couple of like characters meeting up or, you know, saving each other or whatever. There is, like, I feel like Elaine finally gets her life together and starts acting like a ruler. Loyal's back. There's a little bit of something that happens for him, which is exciting. There is some stuff that happens for Matt at the end, which is crazy. So there's just a lot that happened. The end, they do like the epilogue is just like catching back up with where some people are and like a little thing that happens that's like gonna set them up for the next one. So as you might expect. Yeah, anyway. So I read that. Anyway, so that was definitely the fastest I've read a Wheel of Time book, and I only have 3 more, so I really could make it this year if I even just try to do 1 per month for the rest of the year. So we'll see. I'll probably just go back to reading them while I'm spinning, and I will slow down my spinning a little bit. I don't have any to talk about this week other than the finished thing because I didn't start a new spin, though I will likely, I want to start some, trying some long draw, so I will likely start that in the near future. But I'm going to do like a palette cleanser small spin. Okay. Okay. So the first book I finished was Twisted Hate. So, which is the 3rd of the Twisted series by Anna Huang. This one is probably the most messed up of them. I don't know. Like, these books are interesting. Like, I get it, twisted in the title. It's not so much that they're twisted and like, it's like even like any BDSM, it's just like everybody's a little bit messed up, like has some trauma that they probably should resolve before getting in relationships, but they're deciding to like do it while they're in relationships. That's really what's happening here. Anyway, this is best friend of first main female character and brother of first main female character, which you totally know is coming anyway throughout these books because of all this like tension they have, like obviously duh. But they do a secret thing for a while, and then you know, sort of enemies with benefits becomes more. It was fine. These books are all like, they're fine. They're like, they're interesting enough while you're reading them. I'm not like really falling in love with the characters, and there's nothing super special about like the environment or whatever that they're in. The next one I read was the Dixon Rule, which is, it's like, I came back to this. So this was in the series of the first Elle Kennedy book I wrote, which were about like the college hockey players. This is still at Briar U, but like the first book was about Gigi, who's the daughter of Garrett Graham. The first series that, I don't even know if it's the first series, but like I went back in time to read about Garrett and his classmates, and then the underclassmen. There's a second series. So that's the off campus, and then Briar U. And then this is called the Campus Diaries. All same university, but like happened 20, plus years apart. I still didn't go back to read the reunion from the first series, but I will do that. This one though is called the Dixon Rule, and this is about Gigi's best friend, Diane Dixon, and then Gigi's husband's like one of his teammates, and they like, it's kind of weird because they like live off campus in like actual apartments, like real people housing. This guy, because he's rich and his parents bought him an apartment so he could live there during the summer or something, but then he's gonna stay there, and her because she inherited from her great aunt or something who had this apartment. Anyway, this one is actually kind of crazy. This was like more drama than the other ones. There's definitely like, there's some like stalking and physical abuse, and like not between the 2 main characters, but like her ex-boyfriend, and it's like a little bit crazy. And yeah, it's wild. It was fine. It was good. I really like the characters. They do some ballroom dancing too, which I really love. If you didn't know this about me, one of the only shows I watch while it's on TV in season is Dancing with the Stars. And so that is something, I was here for that. That was a good little tidbit. And she is a cheerleader. So like, they didn't talk about hockey very much in this, but they did talk about the dancing, and that was like really fun. Okay. The next book I read was Practice Makes Perfect, which is the When in Rome series number 2. I read the first one last week by Sarah Adams. I love Sarah Adams books. She's got like just really wholesome, sweet characters. This one is about the main character from the first one, the male main character, it's his sister, and the female main character from the first one, her bodyguard, one of her bodyguards, because she's like a pop star, right? And I thought this one was like pretty good. This was like a lot. There was a lot here about like unresolved grief and sort of like masking, personality masking, and like like the main character is very introverted, and definitely some unresolved childhood trauma on the male character's uh side. But yeah, it was pretty sweet. It was like, again, this one was good. It felt like rather wholesome and like lovely, and the town characters are very fun in this, so I'll definitely keep reading the series as they come out. But I think this is the only one that's out. Like, this is the second one's the only one that's out. There are two other sisters. You definitely know, I think the middle sister will be the next one, because she's got like a big life change she announced at the end of the last book. And you already know who her love interest is going to be. Okay. The next book I read was, and the last one from the week was, A Fate Inked in Blood. This is the first of the Unfated, the Saga of the Unfated by Danielle, Elle, Jensen. I think it's the only one that's out right now, though, in that series. And I read the Bridge Kingdom series by Danielle L. Jensen earlier this year, and I really loved it. Yeah, the next one comes out in 2025. It's called A Curse Carved in Bone. This was really interesting. This is like a very Vikings forward series. I mean, it is. It's like I don't even know what year they'd be, like 1000 AD, maybe before that. Very Norse, maybe probably before that, because that's when like Christianity came to the Vikings. So like, let's call it 500 or even before. Anyway, raiding society, and the Norse gods are involved. It's a very interesting, there's magic in this. And the interesting piece is that anybody with magic are people who have a drop of a specific god's blood. And so you've got like kind of a specific power related to them. And you are then often used, right, by the people around you for whatever reason. And the main character, and when you have the drop of blood, they believe in like predestiny. So like everything's already decided for you, except for these people that have the god's blood. They are unfated, which is why it's called the Saga of the Unfated, right? Because they can change their destiny because they have powers, but also theoretically there's ripple effects of this, right? So they can change destinies around them. It was interesting. I felt like pacing was a little bit odd in this. There was like maybe too much downtime between some of the things, but also there was maybe too much packed into this. It was so much. And that's like contrary to the Bridge Kingdom, which I feel like the first book of the Bridge Kingdom almost didn't have enough in it. And there was like too much building, and then there was a lot at the end that was kind of crazy. This one felt like a lot of peaks and valleys of crazy things happening, and I sort of like, it was a little roller coastery. I do like how much she builds world builds, and like how deeply she pulls you into it. I really like the romance between the main characters. I really like some of the tension that they have going on. I really hated the last scene. And not even because of what happened, but because it's this thing that drives me nuts in books. When people say, just let me explain, instead of explaining. And then the other person like overrides and like, I don't care what you have to say, and doesn't listen. And like, there's probably nothing that drives me more nuts than that, because like, you can absolutely get somebody to listen to you if you just like, and even in the part, I understand why she's irrationally angry. Like there's nothing about it that I don't understand her reaction. I just think like the, well, I can explain, but then not explaining and is the most ridiculous device in writing. I really dislike this piece. Okay, so that just like got my blood to boil. But otherwise, I really liked it. I'll definitely read the rest of it. I do feel like I had a hard time reading it a little bit because of the pacing, because I felt like I was on such a, even like listening, and I listened quickly, but I was like, whew, there was so much happened. And then the down is like too long, or it's just like, it's too much unresolved things that they just move on to something else. So that was like my issue. I do feel like it was so interesting though. So I will definitely keep reading it. Okay. That's all I have to say about that. Sorry, that was long-winded for books. One thing I want to talk about this week, and I will put a bunch of pictures up, is my Tessellated Pullover that I finished for Pasley Knits. All of the colors are finally out. Okay, so let's talk about what colors these are. The main color for this, here, I'm going to put up just like first. This is the picture of like the whole sweater. Okay, so the main color here is Gold Rush. The fluff color is Cruel Summer, which is like a pinky color. Other DK weight main color, which I guess like really BC, whatever. This one is But Daddy, I Love Him. And I did post some pictures in my stories. I'll post the actual picture of this too. I love this sweater. It's so cute. Here's a couple pictures of close-up details. Well, I'll do one at the back and then I'll flash up like there's like, I took a picture of the shoulder detail. I took a picture of like a little bit more of the hem so you can really see what the color mix looks like. And then I took like, I don't know, a picture of the sleeve. I'll pop up a couple here while I'm talking. I love the color combo here. One of the reasons I felt more secure in switching from like the way Andrea Mowry and like a lot of the sample pictures and test knits for the tessellated versions, all of the different tesselateds were, a main color is solid. The other sport weight color is like a spin cycle yarn. And then the fluff was solid. So it's like 2 solids and a variegated. This one is a solid and 2 variegateds. And the But Daddy I Love Him is like kind of a lightly variegated, but it's definitely a variegated color. Like it's, the tones are not like dramatically different, right? But like it's all pinky, orangey, creamy goodness. So that made me feel secure though with Astronomy Tower and Very Beetlejuice. They're like, Astronomy Tower is a lot of pretty lights. Like there is variegation, but it's like all pretty light tones. And Very Beetlejuice has a lot of different tones in it. And I knew like with those two, like it would still not be overwhelming because I think Astronomy Tower will like keep it pretty even. Anyway, that made me feel better for my choices. Doing this one is seeing how lovely that works up all together. So here it is. Loved it. Had a great time. Making it was, you saw me during the making process. I just couldn't show you the colors. So now you can see all the colors. Hooray. It's so lovely. The colors that have been coming out from Coley though, still, I am obsessed with like all of them. Yes. As you may have assumed, this would be yellow or orange, which are not colors I generally knit with. That she came out with it. Did release her orange yesterday though. That is like so amazing. It's like such an amazing orange fall color. Not something I would buy, but we'll get into like the fall. I think there might be a couple brownie tones that are in here too for this collection. But the beginning cool colors are something delicious. I don't know. Okay, so that collection still coming out the end of this month. She's still going to be releasing for a couple more days, like all the way through next week maybe. And then doing color combos and doing all her things. Allie's doing her live today. I know this afternoon, I think, for the farmer's market color, but all of them are out now. Now I'll do a grid post, like just to show you the grid from Allie. Okay, so some of these, there were only like 11 colors at Flocked, 11 or 12. I looked at the table picture again. I took a picture individually of all the colors, and these tomato ones were not there. I also think this last one, that's the accompaniment to, I can't remember what it's called, bouquet or I don't know, something. That's the accompaniment to Butterfly Pea, which is the last color she released, which is the color I have to get, this like purpley ultraviolet. It's the most amazing color. And so good live and so good on all the bases. She does have new bases that are coming too, so I'm going to make plans maybe after I know what those are. But like, I'm going to be in real trouble here, guys. I'm not going to lie. Like, yes, I think she'll bring some of them back. No, I don't need all these colors right now, but these tonals specifically are like, they're all exactly like jewel tone, vibrant, rich on the cooler side of things. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. Maybe resist, maybe not. We'll see. Maybe some t-shirt quantities. Although, again, like I don't want a ton of merino t-shirts. Like, yes, I do want more t-shirts, so I still may buy some. And like, I mean, I could get earthy and do another one of these or like do a ripple crop top and like just live in that. And I would be happy with more fingering weight t-shirt garments. But yeah, I'm so in love with these tonals, and they really open up the doors to like, you can do plain knits, but you can do all the texture knits in them too. I probably don't want to get too many more DK sweater quantities. Like I have a lot over here right now between these shelves. I have less full sweater quantities of single colors in my fingering weights, and I do want to shift to doing more. Yeah, it slows down production for sure, but like I need that. I need to slow down anyway. I don't need so many sweaters. I need things that I'm grabbing all the time and that can fit multi-seasons. I also just want to say a quick thank you to everybody who joined the knit night that I hosted through my Discord last Friday. We are going to try to do this monthly. I might put a vote in the Discord, or you can let me know below also. For October, mid-month, I would like to start the knitted in or unspun knit along. You can use whatever unspun you want. I still need to pick my pattern. Ursula gave me a really good idea, so I'm gonna like look through some things that maybe I already own, or like patterns I've been really craving that just DK weight, and I can hold one strand with one strand of something fluffy, which I have lots of options for that. But I may do this like the make along kickoff call is our monthly one, or if you want both, if you want to have just like the regular monthly call and then a kickoff, like let me know. I don't know people's tolerance. That would give us like maybe just more space for people to show up. But yeah, it was really nice. It was the most people we've had join. Everybody was great sharing projects and other things. And so I love hanging out and chatting with everybody. So that brings me so much joy. Thank you for coming. Thanks for talking with me, not just letting me talk to you. That's all I have for today. If you have any other questions or anything you want to ask me, tell me, let me know. I'm always available on Instagram DMs, and below I'll always answer your questions and your comments. So I hope that you had a really wonderful day, weekend, whenever you're watching this, and I will talk to all of you next week. Thanks. Bye.